As we all know, Canelo Alvarez has a mandatory fight against David the Mexican Monster Benavidez. And David Benavidez has been his mandatory for years, and the whole boxing world thought that this fight was going to be next. However, I just heard that Canelo Alvarez himself reached out to Jaime Munguia and his team to make a fight for Cinco de Mayo weekend. And this is the topic for this video. But before we get into all of that, if you guys are not subscribed, please punch and knock out that subscription button. That way you'll never see it again. And ding the notification bell. That way you'll never miss any of my new boxing videos. Alright guys, let's get to the round. Ding ding. Alright champs, let's get started. I know the whole boxing world has been waiting for this fight to happen, and everybody believed it was going to happen next. Everybody thought it was gonna be Canelo versus Benavidez on Cinco de Mayo weekend this year. And then there was supposed to be a rematch on Mexican Independence Day weekend. But I hate to be the bearer of bad news, and it is confirmed that Canelo himself actually reached out to Jaime Munguia and his team, and they are planning to make this fight happen on Cinco de Mayo weekend. And these statements are coming from Jaime Munguia himself. He is the one that said all these are facts. So Canelo Alvarez is the one that actually seeked the fight out with Munguia. So Munguia did not reach out to Canelo. Canelo is the one that reached out to Munguia. But this fight will only take place if he actually beats up Ryder. Also, I do recall Canelo stating that he would never fight a Mexican again because he actually represents Mexico. But I truly believe he was just saying that because his hand was injured. I don't believe Canelo is scared of anybody, including the Mexican monster David Benavidez. I do recall Canelo's hand was injured for a while. It was actually injured when he was fighting in Europe. But Canelo Alvarez was not fighting jabronis in Europe. He was actually fighting the best fighters that Europe has to offer. A top level fighter is a top level fighter. It don't matter what country they are from. I know the whole boxing world wants to see Canelo versus Benavidez, but I really do believe we are gonna get the fight. I do not believe at all that Canelo Alvarez is scared of David Benavidez or any other boxer. However, I do believe that Canelo Alvarez did not want the smoke with David Benavidez when his hand was injured. I believe David Benavidez is just too dangerous for a Canelo with a hand injury. I do believe Canelo is just trying to build up the fight more, even though I know if they fight right now, the fight will be huge and it will make good numbers. But I do believe it can get bigger, especially if they both keep winning. I also don't think we're gonna see Canelo versus David Benavidez this year, but I think we will see it on Cinco de Mayo weekend on 2025, and the rematch happening on Mexican Independence Day weekend. I believe Canelo is gonna fight Munguia on Cinco de Mayo weekend. That's if Munguia beats Jhon Ryder, which I think he will. But I see Canelo beating Munguia then in Mexican Independence Day weekend, either fighting Fat Charlo or Berlanga, or maybe even Bubu Andrade, and David Benavidez either fighting Charlo or Munguia, or somebody else big in the division. There's always Dave Morrell, but there are tons of fighters that they can both fight to make this a mega fight. But in the meantime, I like Munguia versus Canelo. That's a big fight and I will take that fight. But the whole boxing world was Canelo versus Benavidez right now. I get that part, including me. But as long as we get that fight eventually, I really don't care. I also don't mind because it's not like there's no other big names to make big fights happen. He's doing something similar to what Teofimo Lopez, Devin Haney, and Tank Davis are doing. They're saving the best for last. But what boxing fans don't understand, or they do understand but they forgot, is that Canelo has been doing the same thing that Tank, Teofimo Lopez, and Devin Haney have been doing for years. Do you guys remember a time when everybody thought Canelo was ducking Triple G? And Triple G was supposed to be the boogeyman and the best boxer ever? But Canelo fought Triple G 3 times, and Triple G was in the position that David Benavidez is right now. So the whole boxing world right now is saying that Canelo is ducking David Benavidez, but in reality, these guys will fight, probably with a rematch clause. And maybe even a third fight. What if this fight is great? What if the first fight is a draw? So we will need a second fight, maybe even a third fight to even the score. Canelo Alvarez has fought tons of world champions. What makes David Benavidez a different world champion than anybody else that Canelo has ever fought? Canelo fought the likes of Cotto, Mosley, Mayweather, Kovalev, Triple G, and so on. I am pretty sure none of them were scared of Canelo, and Canelo wasn't scared of none of them either. This is what boxers do. They fight for a living, so you have to pay them to see them fight. Believe me, no boxer is scared of each other. It's usually the politics that get in the way of big fights. To be honest, it's really the money, guys. If there was enough money to go around, the politics won't even get in the way. And His Excellency is the one that proves all this. No other promoter or platform got his kind of budget. And I believe he can make any fight that he wants happen. Also, if Munguia stops Ryder and Canelo could not stop Ryder, this will hype the fight and the fight will sell very well. Not just that, if Munguia drops Ryder or schools him and gives him a boxing lesson, nobody will complain about the fight. And if Munguia does beat Ryder in a convincing way, and when the Munguia versus Canelo fight comes closer and closer, that's when people will start saying that Munguia has a chance because he stopped or dropped Jhon Ryder and Canelo couldn't. People will say Munguia has gotten a lot better since Derevyanchenko. But we know Munguia will have to make a good statement against Jhon Ryder. That's if he wants to make this fight a huge fight. But as we all know, Jhon Ryder ain't no cakewalk. He is no easy task. But we all know Canelo did fight Jhon Ryder with a bad hand. I am also wondering if Jaime Munguia and Jhon Ryder will fight in the same ring that Canelo and Ryder fought. That was the smallest ring in boxing history. My homegirl was watching the fight with me and she goes, I don't watch boxing like that, but I do watch Canelo fights, but that ring looked very small. I told her, no, you are not tripping, that ring is tiny. I wonder if a bigger ring would have made a difference in that fight. And I'm wondering why they chose such a small ring, probably for more action. But champs, who do you guys think is gonna win? Jaime Munguia or Jhon Ryder? And do you guys think Canelo is gonna fight David Benavidez this year or next year? Comment below and I'll write to everyone back. If you guys like the show, like, subscribe, share the video, and that's it for me, champs. I gotta roll.